hasn't signed in yet?
No, I think I'll start Kirtan anyway, and he'll sign in when he's ready.
Okay. I thought I already signed out of your account, but there it is.
No worries. Let me make
I'm
you
gonna
co-host here.
Yeah, but I'm also going to record, so I'm going to sign out and sign in again.
All right.
Oh, Kendra.
Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. How are you doing?
Oh, happy to see you as usual.
Your kindness.
Start recording here in a moment. Okay. Okay. Right. Right. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paripuracharya Ashto Uttara Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Nama Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Mukund Radha Kunigiri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Kendra Prabhu, and welcome to all. We're reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and today we're beginning Lila, chapter 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gnana Timirandasya Gyanandrana Shalakaya Chakshur Nivitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Sthapitam Jaina Bhutale Shrayam Rupa Kodamayam Tadapati Sapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadkamana Shri Guru Vaishnavamstam Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Gaganatan Vitam Stan Sidivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parishana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamsna. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishabham Sute Devi Manamami Hori Priye Vanshako Vitarubhyascha Kapa Sinto Pyevacha Pavitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. Chapter 4, the confidential reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this chapter of the epic Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has stressed that Lord Chaitanya appeared for three principal purposes of his own. The first purpose was to relish the position of Srimati Radharani, who is the prime reciprocator of transcendental love of Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of transcendental loving transactions with Srimati Radharani. The subject of those loving transactions is the Lord himself, and Radharani is the object. Thus, the subject, the Lord, wanted to relish the loving mellow in the position of the object, Radharani. And the second reason for his appearance was to understand the transcendental mellow of himself. Radharani's attraction for Krishna is sublime, and to experience that attraction and understand the transcendental sweetness of transcendental pleasure in the company of, to understand the transcendental sweetness of himself, he accepted the mentality of Radharani. The third reason that Lord Chaitanya appeared was to enjoy the bliss tasted by Radharani. The Lord thought that undoubtedly Radharani enjoyed his company, and he enjoyed the company of Radharani. But the exchange of transcendental mellow between the spiritual couple was more pleasing to Srimati Radharani than to Sri Krishna. Radharani felt more transcendental pleasure in the company of Krishna than he could understand without taking her position. But for Sri Krishna to enjoy in the position of Srimati Radharani was impossible, because that position was completely foreign to him. Krishna is the transcendental male, and Radharani is the transcendental female. Therefore, to know the transcendental pleasure of loving Krishna, Lord Krishna himself appeared as Lord Chaitanya, accepting the emotions and bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. Lord Chaitanya appeared in order to fulfill these confidential desires and also to preach the special significance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and to answer the call of Advaita Prabhu. These were secondary reasons. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami was the principal figure among Lord Chaitanya's confidential devotees. The records of his diary have revealed these confidential purposes of the Lord. These revelations have been confirmed by the statements of Srila Rupa Goswami in his various prayers and poems. This chapter also specifically describes the difference between lust and love. The transactions of Krishna and Radha are completely different from material lust. Therefore, the author has very clearly distinguished between them. So that's the summary, and Kaviraj Goswami will gradually unfold all of these truths. Praveen says, what is the meaning? Krishna is subject and Radharani is object. The meaning is just like if you, we have the term subjective, which means according to my own experience, the way I see it. So the subject appreciates the object. If you're looking at a painting, you're the subject and the painting is the object. If you're eating some sweet rice, you're the subject and the sweet rice is the object. So Krishna is the subject, he's the supreme enjoyer, and Srimati Radharani is the object. So Krishna wanted to understand these three truths about himself, or about the relationship between himself and Srimati Radharani. But he couldn't do that without taking her position. What is it? What is it like to be Srimati Radharani? What does she experience? What does she feel? What does she appreciate about me? All of these, all of this and more is available to Radharani, but not to Krishna. Not to Krishna. So Krishna, therefore, wanted to take the position of Srimati Radharani. The substitute, the Lord takes the position of his pleasure potency. The three meanings, three reasons look more or less the same: relishing mellow, understanding mellow, and enjoying the mellow. What is the difference? That will gradually be unpacked. Of course, there's an overlapping here. The first is that the Lord wanted to experience, to relish loving dealings, but not as the lover, as the beloved. So he wants to take that position. He doesn't want to be Krishna. He wants to be in the position of Radharani. Well, that's the first reason. Then the next thing is he wanted to understand something about himself. What is it about me that Radharani is relishing by my association? What is that sweetness? And that also he can't understand in the position of Krishna. He has to be in the position of Radharani. The Radharani is appreciating something about Krishna, or tasting some sweetness. Krishna himself can't taste it. He's not in a position to taste that. Radharani, but he can't understand what it is that Radharani appreciates about him. He can understand to some extent, but to actually relish that, to taste that, he has to take the position of Srimati Radharani. And to experience that, not just understand it, but to experience what it's like to taste that sweetness. And the third reason, again, these overlap somewhat, is to experience the bliss of Srimati Radharani. Krishna enjoys some transcendental pleasure by association with Srimati Radharani, but her pleasure is more than his. How is that? What is that pleasure? Krishna can only go up as far as his own pleasure. But what is the pleasure enjoyed by Srimati Radharani? To understand that, he has to take her position. So these are the three reasons. They overlap. They're yes, but they're They're distinct. Tulsi Priya.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. I was a little confused about this idea of Krishna, Radharani being the object, because I seem to remember, and I did look it up a little bit, that in, for example, the Nectar of Devotion, Krishna is often described as the object of the love of the gopis, for example, and just from a, I guess maybe logical, or if he wants to know what Radharani is experiencing, then that would make Radharani the subject. She's the one that's having this feeling or experiencing this emotion. So wouldn't she be the subject and Krishna the object?
Thank you. I'm sorry to cut you, but yes, I suppose if you look at it that way, what you're saying makes sense. I'm not quite sure how the acharyas deal with the nomenclature here. But yes, Krishna is the supreme experiencer of the love of the Brajbasis. But he wants to take the position of the Brajbasi, or particularly of Srimati Radharani. So then she experiences what it's like to be with Krishna. So yes, Krishna is the object of affection of the gopis of Srimati Radharani. I don't think I can go further into that. But more like a technical naming question than anything else. We understand what's going on.
Yeah.
That Krishna's, and that's the difference. That the gopis, Srimati Radharani, they're not the enjoyers of Krishna's association. They associate with Krishna to give Krishna enjoyment. So from that point of view, they remain in the position of objects, not in the sense that feminists would hate, but in the sense that they're the object of Krishna's affection. They exist to give pleasure to Krishna. That's what they want to do. It's not that they become enjoyers of Krishna. They enjoy, but they enjoy by being enjoyed by Krishna. By being enjoyed. That's the feminine position. The masculine position is to be the enjoyer. And the feminine position is to, and by giving enjoyment, the consort also gets transcendental enjoyment, transcendental pleasure, but never by stepping out of her position as the object of enjoyment, never becoming the enjoyer. Is that okay?
Yes, and I think I feel I understand what you're saying. I guess I'm looking at it more from the perspective that because her love towards Krishna, her desire to serve is so intense, that more, it seems like it's a more active role, and Krishna is receiving. He's not the supplier of enjoyment, but he's the receiver of her devotion and love. And I guess that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was. That was why Krishna appeared, is because he wanted to know what it felt like to be that devoted, or he wanted to have that experience of Radharani's devotion, which I can't make any definitive statements, but it just appears to be like the more active or proactive role in the relationship. Krishna is, he's himself and he's always happy, but to have that experience of what more can I do to serve, how much more can I, it just seems to me to be that's a more I guess more proactive or more active position. Anyways, I'll have to wrestle with it in my own mind, I guess. But I do appreciate what you're saying. It's just I guess I'm just looking at it from a different angle.
as we'll find later in the chapter, there's an active competition.
Yes.
The Krishna is trying to please Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is trying to please Krishna. So they're both active. It's not that Krishna remains passive or that Radharani remains simply passive. They're both active, but they're active in different moods. Krishna's active in the mood of the enjoyer, and Srimati Radharani is active in the mood of the enjoyed. Though that identity, that mood, that position, Prabhupada calls it, that doesn't change. That doesn't change in Krishna, in the pastimes of Radha Krishna. Krishna is always the enjoyer. Srimati Radharani is always the object of enjoyment.
Okay, that makes it more clear. Yeah, it's the mood of who's the enjoyer and who's the enjoyed. Thank you.
Saraswati, Krishna would experience what it feels to have complete love for only one person, as Radharani. He has love for many, but she only loves him. Yes, thank you for that. Haridas says, one of Sri Krishna's qualities mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion is all cognizant, but apparently does not apply in the place of Krishna's understanding the feelings. Of Srimati Radharani. That any person who can understand the feelings of all persons and incidents in all places at all times is called all cognizant. Yes, that's the feature of Lord Chaitanya's Lila, that Krishna is all cognizant. He knows everything. But still, he doesn't understand the depth of Srimati Radharani's love for him. And that will be described later in the chapter, that the pleasure potency in giving devotional service to Krishna and experiencing love for Krishna is ever expanding. So Krishna then expects more. Then the knowledge potency expands to understand the newly expanded pleasure potency. But then that pleasure potency further expands. So even Krishna doesn't fully understand the loving mood of Srimati Radharani. These three items that Krishna, that are described here, Krishna can't experience as long as he's in the position of Krishna. From another point of view, we can say that Krishna is all cognizant, but his strategy for being all cognizant in this regard is to take the position of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Krishna, but he's Krishna appearing in this feature to understand what he otherwise doesn't understand, to experience what he otherwise would not be able to experience. Okay. Then Murari Gupta says, Lord Chaitanya's position is fairly straightforward, but Gadadhar's position seems more complicated. Will we come to that, or can you say something now? The position of Gadadhar is not discussed in the same detail as in Chaitanya Charitamrita, as in as the position of Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu. Gadadhar's position is only briefly touched upon. He's in the position of the pleasure potency, but what's the word? Robbed of that aggressive, not aggressive, but a contrary mood displayed by Srimati Radharani. The best reference I can give you for these topics is Tripurari Maharaj's book. I've forgotten the name of it now. Let's see. He's written a book specifically dealing with the introduction to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, to the introductory verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Maybe it's called Divine Introduction. I've forgotten the title, but it's an excellent book, and it specifically deals very cogently with the position of Gadadhar Prabhu. I don't think I'll say more about it here. Tulsi Priya says, we were just reading today that someone once asked Srila Prabhupada, can Krishna create a mountain so heavy he can't lift it? Prabhupada said yes, and then he will lift it. So I guess the same is true about Radha's love for him. Yeah, we've heard that story many times. I'm not quite sure what its source is, but yeah, that same principle would apply. Praveen says, since Krishna is the enjoyer, why does he have to please Radharani or any other devotee? Since he has to please Radharani, it may seem that Radharani is the enjoyer and Krishna is enjoyed. The psychology here is that the male enjoys pleasure by giving pleasure to the female. And the female also enjoys pleasure by being enjoyed by the male. Put it another way, male is aggressive, and female is passive is maybe not the right word, but receptive might be the right word. This could perhaps be better understood if we take it into the animal kingdom. Bulls are aggressive. You never see a cow chasing a bull. Never. But when bulls get excited, they chase after the cows like anything. And the cow is not chasing. The cow takes pleasure in being chased, being sought after, or being enjoyed by the bull. Both enjoy pleasure, the cow and the bull, but in very different moods. In very different moods. The cow never takes on the mentality of the bull, nor does the bull take on the mentality of the cow. But together they enjoy by interacting in their respective moods. The cow isn't looking for another cow, another gentle and receptive friend. The cow wants a bull. And the bull isn't looking for another bull either. So they're in their respective moods. And coming together they enjoy. This is all material, of course, but this gives us some access, or a starting point for understanding these things, an analogous situation. And Haridas Prabhu says, Tripurari Maharaj's book is titled Sacred Preface. Yes. And again, an excellent book. He was kind enough to provide me a copy, and I recommend it. It's an excellent book. Anything else? Okay. Text 1. Sri Chaitanya Prasadena Tadrupasya Nirnayam Balopi Kurute Shastram Drishtva Vraja Vilasinaha. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Lord Krishna, the enjoyer of the pastimes of Vraja, according to the vision of the revealed scriptures. Purport. One can ascertain the meaning of this Sanskrit sloka only when one is endowed with the causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Sri Krishna, being the absolute personality of Godhead, cannot be exposed to the mundane instruments of vision. He reserves the right not to be exposed by the intellectual feats of non-devotees. Naham Prakasha Truth. Even a small child can easily understand Lord Sri Krishna and his transcendental pastimes in the land of Vrindavan by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is extraordinary to understand Krishna. Mam tu Vedana Kashchid. Manushanam Sahasreshu Kashchid Yati Siddhi. Yatatam api siddhanam Kashchin Mam Veti Tattva. Krishna says, hardly anyone understands me. I know everyone. I know everything. But no one, hardly anyone knows me. Even the greatest scholars, the great munis traveling at the speed of the mind for millions of years can't understand Krishna. Adhokshaja, he's beyond mind and senses. He's inconceivable. And his pastimes, these are all identical, and to understand them is to reach the highest perfection of spiritual life. Even those who attained the perfection of realizing the impersonal Brahma can't understand Krishna. Even the mystic yogis can't understand Krishna. But a child can understand Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's form, Krishna's everything by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Shastram Vishtva Vrajavilasana, these things are there in Shastra, but they're not accessible to the ordinary person, not because you can't go out and buy the book, but because we can't understand it. We can't understand it by our intellect, by our mind. by imagination, by any strategy that we might come up with. We can't really understand Krishna's name. Sri Krishna Namadi Nabhave Grayam. Our gross mind and senses, although they're subtle, but in relation to spirit, they're gross. And Krishna's name and form and qualities and pastimes can't be understood by the senses, by the mind. But when Krishna is pleased by devotional service, then he may reveal himself. So everything is there in Shastra, but to see it and to understand it requires transcendental mercy. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is distributing that mercy, Krishna Prema provided. Yes, Tusi Priya.
So Maharaj, you were saying it can't be understood mentally, obviously can't be understood intellectually, but as we read, it's even a child can understand it. So what I'm understanding is that you can't understand it by an intellectual process or by a mental process, but if Krishna gives you the revelation, then you can understand it. Now, that understanding is that we are given an understanding and then we understand it with our minds, or is it completely spiritual and it cannot even be measured by, you can't even describe it in psychological or mental terms. It's just completely spiritual and there's no mental component to it at all.
Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana. Bhakti Rishite. Devotional service means serving Krishna with our senses, which include the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Prabhupada says purify the senses.
Okay.
Purified mind. We're hearing the holy name. What are we hearing it with? We're hearing it with our ears. Mm-hmm. But there's another, what would you say, another level, another dimension. That's described in sort of the technical literature on sound. But at one level, we're hearing it with our ears. It's not that we say, no, the ears can't hear the holy name. It's true, the ears can't hear the holy name, just mechanically hearing. It's not the same as hearing with devotion. What we hear when we listen to Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam in a submissive mood from the spiritual master is different from what the materialist scoffing and speculating will hear, because his ears are not purified. Premanjana Shrita Bhakti. One can see Krishna with the eyes, but the eyes have to be anointed with love for Krishna. So the mind also can appreciate Krishna. The intellect also can appreciate Krishna. Jiva Goswami is a towering intellect among philosophers, but he's not a speculative, mundane wrangler, as the term Prabhupada sometimes uses. His intellect is completely pure and dedicated at the Lord's feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that intellect, we don't say, oh no, that's just intellectual. He's written this book. The Sahajas take that position. No, we don't want to read books. This is all the mind and intelligence. We want to go directly to the realm of love and so on. No. No. This is for the purified mind, for the purified intelligence. And without this, we'll fall into the sajjaya mood of let me just relish love for Krishna. without proper understanding and purification of heart. There's a follow-up question from Tulsi Priya.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was just wondering, it seems, I would assume that there's a limit to how purified someone can become by their own austerities, their own practice. I'm wondering if that's correct in that, we know that Krishna carries what we lack and preserves what we have. But is there a sort of a baseline of purity, or does Krishna just see the sincerity of the effort and then he fills in the gaps? Or, because it's sort of related to Saraswati's question too, that what is the qualification of a child? So I'm just wondering, we talk about causeless mercy, so that causeless mercy, it seems like I don't know if we can ever actually deserve it or do something. We do our best, but how pure can one person be by their own efforts?
Yeah, it will be limited. The mode of goodness. What is that? Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat, prakashakam pranamam. By developing the mode of goodness, one can understand so much, because the mode of goodness is described as pure. But sukha sangena bhagnati, jnana sangena chanaka. Even in the mode of goodness, one still will be conditioned by a sense of material contentment and a sense of having knowledge. So even though being in the mode of goodness makes one pure, and mode of goodness is extraordinary, we talk about, sort of nice people, about we speak of them as being in the mode of goodness, but actually being in the mode of goodness is really something. And you meet people who are genuinely in the mode of goodness, they're extraordinary. But the mode of goodness is still material. Mode of goodness is still material. Even the great accomplished yogis, the great speculators, the great whatevers, the great performers of austerities, they may become very pure. They can be freed from so many sinful reactions, but devotional service is not available. There's a verse like that. Well, even in Bhagavad Gita, Naham Vedana Tapasa Nadanena Nachejaya, in the 11th chapter. Krishna says, you can't see me by tapasya. Even in my universal form, you can't see me by tapasya, by knowledge, by charity. Bhaktya mama vijanati. Bhaktya tvamanyaya shakya hamevam vidvartam. Yatam drashtam chatatvam. Yaveshtam chaparam. Only by undivided devotional service. There's a verse spoken to Buddha with the same purport in Srimad Bhagavatam. That, again, that one can't understand by any of these methods, but only by devotional service. How is a foolish child, this is Saraswati, eligible for receiving mercy? What is the qualification of that child? No qualification. The child is foolish, the child is unqualified, but the parent or grandparent or well-wisher likes the child, that's all. Nice child. So the Prabhupada said that my spiritual master liked me, that's all. And Prabhupada humbly said, you may be a dog or whatever, but if the spiritual master likes you. So that's called causeless. Not that, because I have a PhD or because I I'm very well-spoken or good-looking, but just the spiritual master likes us. That's enough. That's sufficient. So the foolish child, what's the child's qualification? This foolish child got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's so many foolish children. It's not that foolish children somehow, by virtue of being children or by virtue of being foolish, can understand so much. That's sort of a popular misconception also. Children are so wise. No, they're fools. They're fools. But even such a fool as a child of that nature, if he gets the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he can understand more than the great philosophers, certainly the great Western philosophers, and even the great munis and yogis. He can understand everything. How? By the mercy of Chaitanya. That's the statement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is that verse? That if you're indeed serious about philosophy and understanding, you'll find it. Then just give your attention to the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you'll find it chamatkar, you'll find it wonderful, astonishing. So that's indicated in this verse. It's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is so wonderful that even a foolish child can understand these most wonderful topics of Krishna's dealings with his devotees in Vrindavan. And Kaviraj Goswami also is taking a humble mood. It's implied in the verse that I'm like that. I'm not that I'm a great author, I'm a great devotee, and therefore I'm able to write Chaitanya Charitamrita. No, even a foolish child can understand these things if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is there. So Kaviraj Goswami doesn't take any credit for being a great intellectual or a great anything, but he attributes everything to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Koraha Vichar Korilo Chitte Pave Chamatkar. If you're indeed interested in logic and argument, then kindly apply it to the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vichar means discrimination. You have a discriminating intellect. So just apply that to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Daya, the mercy, causeless mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vichar Korile, Chitte Pave Chamatkar. And if you do that, you'll find that it's wonderful. Chamatkar. All right. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jayādvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glory to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glory to Lord Nityananda. All glory to Sri Advaita Charja. And all glory to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Chaturta Shlokera Artha Koilo Bivaran Panchama Shlokera Artha Shruno Bhaktagan. I have described the meaning of the fourth verse. Now, O devotees, kindly hear the explanation of the 5th verse. The 5th verse is Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asmad Ekatmana Vapi Bhuvi Pura Deha Bhedam Gato To Chaitanakam Prakatam Abhina Sadvayam Chaikamatam Radha Bhava Duty Subhalitam Nomi Krishna Surupam. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Well, we can stop here, I think, or we could read a couple of more verses. Let's see. Fifth verse. Well, no, let's stop here. We can have kirtan for a few minutes. And we'll carry on next Thursday. And I wonder who'd like to lead kirtan today.
We would love to hear you lead, Maharaj.
No, you don't want to hear me. We want to hear you. Devotees. Krishna Kantiya Prabhu, would you like to lead?
Yes, Maharaj. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Jai Om Vishnu Pada Bhagavan Sukri Pada Vicharya Ashtotra Satashi Shriman A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Antakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Aim Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Radha Kunti Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Shamanumai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. O Premanande. I see that I missed out a question from Murari Gupta Prabhu and a comment from Saraswati. My apologies for that. If you'd like to reintroduce them in the next class. I'm Chaitanya Chaitanya. Feel free, please. Thank you all again. Hare Krishna.
Very well. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Gurudev. Turn right on the alley, then take the first left.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Turn left at the traffic light, then take the first right. To turn off the mic. Jeez.
Hey, Krishna.
There we go.
Hey, Bo.
Krishna Kantiya, thank you very much. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much.
And thank you, Krishna Mantaya Prabhu, for the kirtan. It was lovely.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Tulsi Priya. And thank you to all the assembled devotees, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.